In last week's reflection, Sarah introduced the idea of remembrance and the activity of remembering as a holy thing to do. And as we continue to journey through this season of remembrance, I also want to continue with this theme, particularly as we approach Remembrance Sunday. This year, not only do we continue to remember the sacrifices made by the armed forces through the generations, but we also celebrate the centenary anniversary of the Royal British Legion, who faithfully every year organise the National Poppy Appeal. In Suffolk, we marked 100 years of the work of the Royal British Legion with a service at the cathedral. And at that service, Bishop Martin, in his address, reminded us all that the success of the great national charity that we know today was not a foregone conclusion. The Royal British Legion was an amalgamation of 4 very different organisations who ultimately were prepared to put aside their differences in order to work together for a greater common purpose. There can be no doubt that this was achieved in part through remembering the horrors and tragedy of the war they had fought together, leading them to focus on what united them rather than what divided them. And I think this gives us a deeper insight into the dynamics of remembering. For in remembering, we recall past events and experiences, and we bring those things into our present. And as we do so, those experiences from the past begin to shape how we live out our future. Remembrance, then, is not just about looking back out of respect for past deeds and sacrifices, which is of course important, but it's also about our present and our future. When I recall the foundation of the Royal British Legion, I'm struck by the overwhelming sense of responsibility that the original founders felt towards their fellow comrades who were injured, or their families, and the families of those who were left in hardship because their loved ones were killed in action. As a society, we're very good at remembering our rights and privileges, but we can sometimes overlook the responsibilities that go with those rights. And as we remember those who gave their today for our tomorrow, I'm reminded of the willingness of whole generations to make sacrifices for future generations. And in turn, this makes me question the choices I make in my today, and the impact I have on other people's lives, not just in the here and now, but also those of future generations. It is poignant this year that the UN Climate Change Conference, COP26, falls in this season of remembrance. A powerful theme emerging from that conference is to think about the impact of climate change on our global neighbours now, and for all of us, and the next generations to come. I'm challenged at this time of remembrance, not only to pause and remember those who lost their lives in the many conflicts of the 20th and indeed 21st century, but also to remember their example of service and sacrifice for the sake of others, for the sake of future generations, and for the greater good. And therefore the responsibility we all hold to ensure that that sacrifice was not in vain. The Royal British Legion summarised this sacred responsibility for us in the words of their motto, words that have held strong these last 100 years, and I think echo true today. Service, not self. Indeed, I would even propose that those words, service, not self, are a pretty good summary of the Christian faith.